Whether you're investing in the offensive line and the protection for a quarterback, or you're investing in the guys that quarterback is throwing to, center, interior offensive line, wide receiver, great ways to protect your newest investment if you're the New York Giants. And to help us break all of that down, we've got Patricia Traina here of the Locked On Giants podcast. And as we get started with this, I want to remind you that all of our Locked On NFL draft coverage is presented by Ultimate Football GM. Think that you can be an NFL GM? Well, if so, make sure you head over to ultimate-gm.com today so that you can download and try out the absolute best Ultimate NFL General Manager Simulator. Start your dynasty today. Patricia, we've got John Michael Schmitz out of Minnesota, the interior offensive lineman, and Jalin Hyatt, the wide receiver, explosive guy out of Tennessee. Let's start off with the offensive lineman, the guy protecting Daniel Jones, paving the way for the run game. Where does he fit in, and how does he contribute and help make this New York Giants offense better?
First off, I am absolutely thrilled the Giants got John Michael Schmitz. I was banging the table for center, and I was banging the table for John Michael Schmitz. So here's the thing. Daniel Jones is entering his fifth season now. He has yet to have the same starting center year in and year out, which is kind of a problem if you think about it, because what did the quarterback and center do? You've got that cadence. You've got reading protections and defenses. You've got to get on the same page. So every year, Daniel Jones has had to do that with a new starting center. With John Michael Schmitz, they have a guy who could potentially be their starting center for the next, 5, 6, however many years. The revolving door has kind of stopped now. So that, when you take that into consideration, and the fact that last year the Giants had some problems with protecting along that interior offensive line and some pressures that were coming up the gut there, John Michael Schmitz is going to hopefully put a stop to that. And so it's just an amazing pick. I know he was a guy that some people had going to the Giants in the first round. I didn't think he'd go first round. He was there. Joe Schoen stayed patient. He got him. And now the Giants have their center of the future to go with their quarterback of the future.
And they add a potential wide receiver of the future as well. Clearly, there was a bit of a them coveting Jalin Hyatt a bit. They traded up to go and grab him. Can you tell us a little bit about that trade and a little bit about how Jalin Hyatt fits into this New York Giants offense? Because some folks see him as a slot receiver, but some see him as somebody that can impact on the outside as well.
Yeah, I think he's going to be versatile. I mean, Joe Schoen, Brian Dable, the head coach, said, look, we don't care how big the receiver is or, they're necessarily what they did in the past, as long as the guy can get open. And Jalin Hyatt is a guy that can get open. He's got deep field speed. And the Giants, remember, last year were dead last in big pass plays of 20 or more yards. So they have added a lot of speed in their attempt to close the gap between Dallas and Philadelphia, the two cream of the crop right now in the NFC East. So as far as the trade goes, I mean, that was kind of a given at some point, because the Giants were just not going to take all 10 picks that they had for salary cap reasons. Their salary cap, they are ranked dead last right now in both effective cap space and actual cap space, according to Over the Cap. So really what Joe Schoen did in trading, in addition to getting the players that he wanted, he also kind of helped his salary cap situation going forward. So really good value getting Jalin Hyatt, who I think was rated a lot higher by a lot of draft experts. Got him in the third round. They did have to come up to get him, but they got him, and he's gonna be an instant impact type of guy for this offense.
And you have to imagine, coming out of that Josh Heupel system at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, his ability to be able to make adjustments post-snap in the midst of running his routes, reading defensive back leverage. Him and Daniel Jones seeing the field the same way is going to be imperative, but you have to imagine that the smarts on this guy is a big part of the reason why they wanted to make the move for him, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dable always says, I want tough, smart, dependable players. It's a cliche, but it's so true. Hey. You can't have a receiver out there who's, running around like a chicken with his head cut off, So, yes, you're right. Jalin Hyatt brings that to the table. The speed, being able to take the top off of a defense. The route tree, I think, probably needs a little bit of work just to polish stuff up. But then again, what rookie doesn't need a little bit of work coming into the NFL? Right. But I think as he gets a chance to work with Daniel Jones and in that offensive system, which is complicated but so effective, gives so much room to the players to do what they need to do. I think you're going to start to see a really explosive Giants offense that we haven't seen before.
Love it. The New York Giants continue to build, and Locked On Giants continues to keep you up to date on every single one of those moves every single Monday through Friday, along with Patricia Traina hosting the wonderful, wonderful show. Make sure you find her on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Patricia, thanks so much for joining us.